Welcome you to tonight's meeting of the Town Council. If you'd please rise and join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, first, a couple of announcements. There are upcoming town council meetings. We have a regular meeting scheduled for Thursday, May 27th at 7 p.m., Thursday, June 10th at 7 p.m., and Thursday, June 24th at 7 p.m., all here in the Matthew Thornton room. And also, if you may have figured out, Tom Koenig and Lon Woods will be participating through our landline here, and there'll be roll call votes recorded for each of our actions this evening. Paul, did you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to remind everyone, especially the minute taker, the meeting has started at 7:01 tonight. Sorry, just bear with me. Thank you. On the way of announcements, the Town Council Retreat Goal Session is tentatively scheduled for Friday, June 4th at Buckley's Great Estates, located at 438 DW Highway. The New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services announced that they will be holding a Town of Merrimack PFAS public informational meeting as a webinar on Tuesday, May 25th at 6:30. More information, please visit the town's website, www.merrimacknh.gov. The town clerk office reminds dog owners that dog licenses renewals were due by April 30th. Owners who have not yet registered their dogs are urged to do so ASAP. Late charges will begin June 1st, and fines are expected to be issued around June 10th. As part of the town's 275th anniversary celebration, this Saturday, May 15th, there will be a 2.75-mile road race, which begins at Merrimack Town Hall. Runners will travel up McGowan Street, down O'Gara Drive, turn onto Babuzik Lake Road. They will then turn onto Courier Road to Souhegan Drive, and then back up Babuzik Lake Road to the end of Town Hall. Roads will remain open during the race. Advance registration is required, and registration closes at midnight tonight, May 13th. For questions, you can check it out on the Parks and Rec website. And finally, I just want to remind everybody, the Courier Drive, Wildcat Falls area, the town-wide resident parking only begins May 15th, Saturday, May 15th. And if you need, for the residents in that area, if you need your placards, please visit Town Hall, Town Manager's office. We have the placards there. And the residents in that area also, if you're having a party, please go to the police station and let them notify the police station, and they will give you party placards for the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Is there anything from anybody else? I see none. Without objection, what I'd like to do this evening is move. Oh, please, if there's anybody from the public who would like to, or press who would like to address the council, feel free to step up to the mic here or the seat right here. Thank you, Nancy. And seeing none, then we'll move on. And again, what I'd like to do is move item number 1 under old business up to right now so we can take care of the appointment. We, this past Wednesday, had the opportunity to interview 3 candidates who had asked to be appointed to the open seat vacated by William Boyd when he took his seat in the legislature. And those 3 were Bob LaRue, Charles LaFond, and Andy Hunter. And so we had that opportunity to listen to them all, and they were all 3 great candidates. And so what we wanted to do is allow them, if they would like, to have a couple minutes to speak to the townspeople, if you will, and let them know about themselves and the reasons maybe that they had desired to run for this open seat. So I'll let you fight for the mic, whoever would like to go first.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good evening. As you stated, my name is Bob LaRue, and I'm looking for your vote to be appointed to the town council. I've been in Merrimack for over 50 years. From the time we moved into Merrimack to the present, I've been probably on more town committees and appointments than I can even remember. I have a fairly good knowledge of all the town not agencies, departments. I get rid of that word agency now. So I'm familiar. I was appointed to the school board, former selectman and state rep. So I believe I have the support of the town, having won 31 consecutive elections. So I'm a team player. I don't have a personal agenda or a gripe or anything like that. I'm just here to volunteer once again to try to help the town and the board. And I look forward to your support. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Good evening. My name's Andy Hunter. You look like I was stepping in front of someone, sorry. Again, I would like to echo what Bob said. Haven't lived in Merrimack long, but I come here without an agenda. I have a lot of management and leadership experience, and I'm here to help. And if the council finds that some of that experience can be beneficial to the council, I'm here to serve the citizens of Merrimack, and I do appreciate the council's time for the interview and everything, the time that you've given to listen to the experience. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed. And I don't believe Charles is here. Okay. This is, I've said it to these guys, this is the worst thing that I have to do. I wish that I didn't have to go through this process, because we had 3 great candidates, and Bob, as he's pointed out, he's a proven leader. He's been serving the community for many, many years, probably before he and I joined the legislature together, actually, so that makes me moving along. But then Charles LaFawn was an exceptionally bright man, I found, and he's demonstrated perseverance and grace in his life, and I believe he's a good person. He was an analytical thinker, and then Andy has a clear desire to get involved because of the work he's been doing the last couple of years, and he continues to offer his service to the town and his managerial skills and all. But I don't know if anybody would like to have comments. No? Yes. Oh, well, go ahead.
I would just like to hold the comments as we vote. I know that when I vote, I'll have a few words to say, but I'll wait until I vote.
To vote. Okay. What I'd like to do, unless there's an objection to it, is I'd like, because there are 3 candidates this evening, I'd like to nominate all 3 of them. And then, if you do have anything to say, feel free to say it at that point. Otherwise, we will then start our vote by roll call. So if nobody has anything, Lon or Tom, are you all set?
I'm here.
Yeah,
Okay, you all set?
I'm all set, Finley.
All right, so then we will move to a vote. And because you're on the phone, I'm going to start with, I'll start with Lon first.
Woods votes Hunter.
Tom?
Yeah, Tom's going to vote for Andy Hunter also.
Barbara?
I'll vote for Andy Hunter.
And Nancy? Nancy?
Glad they're
Carrington?
making it look so easy. I just want to make a couple comments, and then I'll vote. I've thought about this a lot. I think everyone needs to know that. I remember 15 years ago when I was appointed to the council. I know, 15 years. There are pros and cons to the candidates. Bob has been, as you mentioned, Bob, you've been as service to this town for, you're saying 50 years. I'm going to take your number because I have no idea. But it's been obvious. It's been various positions, served with integrity, and I think that's all positive things that you need to acknowledge. And you said that your major purpose was to help the town through this year. And I believe that. Andy, you've demonstrated your business experience and knowledge, which are certainly applicable to the kinds of things that are in this town. And there were pros and cons. You're not really new in this town. You've been here a while. That's also an advantage, too, because there's fresh eyes to be seen. So based on that, do you know when I made my decision? Today. I talk about my poor husband. I was vacillating back and forth, and he's not giving me an opinion because he doesn't want to have, not my fault, but he'd hear my pros and cons. I think what made the decision for me was looking back at myself and being able to see, and there were like 12 people at that time, and they were all commission members and way more experienced than me. But I'm going to vote for Andy Hunter. And the reason I'm doing that is I think it's a one-year term. He came with, and this is only a point, I have to make sure I say that. He came within 120 votes during this recent election. That's not the primary reason. But it's a variable, it's not the primary reason. But I think it provides an opportunity for the citizens of the town to get to know him and see if they really want him. They may come April and say, no, there's someone else and we're going to be able to vote it. So I do appreciate Bob and his willingness to trying to help us. And I really do appreciate that. But my vote's going to be for Hunter for that reason.
Nancy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to say a few things about the candidate that I plan to cast my vote for before I do so. I'm certainly new to this, so I wrote some notes, and it may take me a couple of minutes. I think it's important for residents to understand how I came to my decision. I'd like to thank all three of the gentlemen who came forward to seek appointment to the town council for their willingness to serve our community in that role and their prior actions that have benefited our town. Each took the time to provide resumes and participated in an interview before the members. The information they shared and the wealth of their knowledge and experiences made clear that each would bring something valuable to the council. Though I am uncomfortable having to vote to appoint an individual to a position that is really meant to be determined and best decided by voters at election time, I understand that things happen, and that's why the current appointment process is in place. That being said, I still really wish that every Merrimack resident had the ability to cast votes tonight. My vote to appoint one individual is not a vote against the others, nor should it be perceived as a lack of support for the other candidates. Rather, it's indicative of my personal belief as to how this appointment should be made and why I believe the candidate I will vote for should be appointed. To that end, I've made my decision and will cast my vote for that person that year after year, various election results have indicated is the choice of the people. This person's been a resident for over 50 years and has been fully invested in our community, has raised his family here, has an expansive history of community volunteerism and public service spanning decades, and to my knowledge, has never lost an election in which he's been a candidate. Again, if not mistaken, he's been most often the top vote getter. I know that in the 2018 state rep race that we were both elected, he earned 284 more votes than I. Every time residents have been afforded the opportunity to choose him, they have. For those of us who've been candidates and lost elections, we know that isn't commonplace. I think this speaks volumes about the community's support of this individual, the respect he's earned, and the esteem in which he is held. Additionally, the candidates I support served on our school board for 6 years as a selectman and for 24 years as a state representative for the Merrimack community. As one of my colleagues at the State House from 2018 to 2020, I observed firsthand his advocacy for our town and his ability and willingness to work across the aisle to address Merrimack's needs as well as those of the state of New Hampshire. He is a true and well-respected long-term public servant whose vast experience with local, state, and county issues makes him particularly well-suited to step in and hit the ground running as a town council member. In the situation before us tonight, I believe it's important for my voice to acknowledge and reflect that which I've heard voiced by the Merrimack community for the 35 years I've lived here. Time and again, this gentleman has earned the support of the community members of different political affiliations from different walks of life and with different views on matters which his input would be required or expected in the role he aspired to or was elected to. I'm humbled to have the opportunity to cast my vote for the person who will serve out the remainder of Representative Boyd's term as town councilor, and want to be sure that that vote reflects the voice I've heard from the Merrimack community. Therefore, I support and place my vote for Bob LaRue.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Nancy. Well, this is my most uncomfortable vote of the year, for sure, and I don't enjoy doing it because they're all very qualified, but my vote will be cast for Andy Hunter as well. And so, without further ado, let me get my paperwork together. I want to thank all the candidates and for their time they've given us and their efforts and all that they've done for the community.
Finley, can I interject?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate or acknowledge what Nancy Harrington said. It was a lot of the thoughts that I had. I didn't realize we were going to take time to explain our votes. And because I'm on the side of the road in South Texas right now, I didn't catch the opportunity to expand any further before voting. But I really believe that all three of the candidates were very good candidates. I really appreciate their offering their services, and any one of them would have done very well. I believe Andy has shown an extreme interest. He's relatively new. He's a new voice. He's a new thought, and that's why I was interested in supporting him. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Bob.
I would like one of you board members on the prevailing side to make a motion to make the vote unanimous.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor of Andy Hunter for filling in the seat left by Bill Boyd, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Roll
Aye.
Roll call, I apologize. Roll call, Tom Koenig,
Aye.
Lon Woods,
Woods, yay.
Barbara,
Aye.
Nancy Harrington.
Yes.
Yes.
Nancy Murphy, and I vote yes as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, if Andy could, is there?
There's the class we know, Mr. LaRue.
Gotta come over here. Come on over this way a little bit, sorry about that.
That's okay.
If you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Andy Hunter,
I, Andy Hunter,
do solemnly swear and sincerely swear
do solemnly swear and sincerely swear
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
that I will faithfully, impartially discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me as a member of the Merrimack Town Council,
all the duties incumbent upon me as a member of the Merrimack Town Council,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution
of this Constitution
and the laws of state of New Hampshire,
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Tom and Lon, they're just signing paperwork.
Thank you, Nancy.
I know you don't buy a TV by the side of the road, Tom.
No, you're right about that.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is ratification of town council actions regarding the town manager position. And this is just to finalize our choice of Paul McCallie as our new town manager. If I can just get my papers in order here. All right, here we go. Paul, if you could join me over here. Sir, thank you. Okay, Paul, if you'd raise your right hand and say after me, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Paul T. McCallie,
Do solemnly swear and sincerely swear
do solemnly swear and sincerely swear
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
that I will faithfully,
and
impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me as a town manager
all the duties incumbent upon me as a town manager
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations of this Constitution
agreeably to the rules and regulations of this Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Anytime I can talk, everybody knows I will, but thank you.
Looking forward to it.
I am too. I appreciate this opportunity. As you can see, I have a large family support. And without that family support, I couldn't do this job. I want to thank my wife, my son, my daughter, my mother, my brothers for being here, my sister-in-law, Chris. And I look forward to serving the town of Merrimack to the best of my ability. Thank you for coming, Sharon. I am going to rely on you gratefully. So I appreciate it. And the police department, thank you. Deputy Charlton and Captain Marcotte. Appreciate it. I gave you a promotion, by the way. Lieutenant Marcotte. So thank you, and I look forward to working with all the town departments as well as the staff. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, please.
Well, you know, Paul, I talk a lot, too. It's a good thing we both don't work in the same office. I just want to say, number one, you deserved it. You put your time in. You've demonstrated to this council what you're capable of, and we know you're going to work your butt off. And you need to know we have your back, and we want you to succeed. So you have to tell us what you need as well to succeed. Okay?
Thank you.
I had you sign the wrong one, Paul, so it'll be
Okay.
coming around
That's
momentarily.
fine. It's all right.
I did the markup, so, all right. It's going to be an exciting time. Yes, Tom?
I just want to interject for a minute here. I want to congratulate Paul and thank him for being willing to step up and take over in that position. It's going to be a tough job, but we think you're capable for it. And so congratulations.
Thank you.
And having said that, and having been a part of these past two agenda items, I need to get back on the road. So I'm going to hang up and let the council take care of the rest of business, and wish you guys the best, and I'll see you in a week.
All right, Tom,
Bye,
drive
Tom.
safely.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Good night, Tom.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey,
Yes, Lon?
may I make a comment?
Yes, please.
I would very much like to congratulate Paul McCallie. I think I said at an earlier meeting, I've watched a few town managers, worked for a few town managers, worked through a few town managers, and I have only confidence in Paul doing a very, very difficult job. I've watched him come up through the ropes, as they speak, and I just wanted to say to Paul and his family and to the council, congratulations.
Thank you,
Yes.
Lon.
Thank you, Lon. All right, if there's nothing further, Unless they're being punished, it's okay.
I'm going to make him stay.
Okay, no, very good, very good.
No.
All right, next on the agenda for your,
My daughter has a major test tomorrow.
Oh, good reasons.
very good.
Nice to see you.
Thanks, guys, thank you for coming. That's boy. Alrighty, next on the agenda is a meeting with the Parks and Rec Committee Chairman, Laura Janes. There you are. I didn't recognize you under the mask.
All right here, Finley, you think?
If that, or if you'd like a seat, Laura, you could sit there.
No, I'll stand.
All
Thank
right,
you
well,
very much.
what this agenda item is, it's per the Town of Merrimack Charter, Section 6-6, at least annually, there should be a review with the Parks and Recreation Committee. This agenda item is to highlight the committee's significant actions, current projects, anticipated actions, and to raise any concerns the council should know about or could act upon. Welcome.
Thank you. This is my first day out, and all these occasions and celebrations, I wish I had known. I would have dressed up. Congratulations, Paul, and welcome aboard, Andy. I've been a resident of Merrimack over 45 years, and I was a teacher to many people, people's children in here, including Mr. LaRue's and even Mr. Boland's, Jessica Boland, yes. Anyway, thank you for all your hard work this last couple of years. It's been so confusing, but Parks and Rec is boogieing along, and I'm just here to support Matt and James because they're doing a fabulous job with all the adjustments, all the things they've had to do. They keep on coming. They're diligent. They're just amazing. But thank you for your perseverance and commitment to Parks and Rec Department and the committee. We are staying strong. The committee is, we look forward to meeting in person next month. We've been doing virtual meetings up until now. And our membership is great right now. We have a rep from Town Council, the School Board, MYA, Senior Club, Merrimack High. And we always need new members, but presently we have 3 residents interested in joining our group. So all the vacancies are now going to be filled, and it's very exciting for me because I've been on PNR for a long time and seen many programs and things come and go, but it's nice to have, like you say, another set of eyes, some other people who see it differently, but I think Parks and Rec is a special thing. You know, we want all kinds of things happening, from support, from MYA to natural fields to what are we putting in the ground as far as fertilizers, that kind of thing. But Matt and James have done a great job, and while many project plans have been delayed due to COVID, we look forward to updating the goals and the programs and the projects. Right now, our big projects at Wasserman, which have already been approved, is lifeguard coverage starting mid-June, and also a parking lot attendant just to check residents, new docks, ADA ramps at the PNR office, and a roof for the PNR office. And I think that really helps the camp and the park to have people there, because I know when I drive through frequently just to check out, it's a fabulous resource still. And I think we've done a good job planning it out. And then there's the big Wasserman Park Beach project, which the costs that's a whole project in itself. We've been working on that, trying to get permits going the last couple of years. But then, of course, with the COVID, the bids went out in March, and the 2 bids came back double what we had anticipated. So hopefully this fall. But the theory is, or the plan is, to tier that down to the waterfront, dredge and fill some areas so we can also get ahead of the milfoil. I am a member of the Lake Natticook Conservation Association. We have yet to have a meeting this year, but they will want to know these things. So. And then there's our famous dog park over there. We have a subcommittee. Christine Lavoie is the chairperson of that. And she's been working with Matt on, and Public Works to get they're going to get a new water line over to the dog park. Up until now, people have been bringing in their own water, et cetera. And some of the big budget items are actually bark mulch, playground bark mulch for the dogs. It's kind of interesting. And we've had Matt's been able to line up Eagle projects, but I notice he's on the agenda tonight a few times, so he will speak to those. But that's been a wonderful thing. We have solar lamps going down. We have a Gaga Ball pit, many different offerings that I don't even know about, but Gaga Ball is pretty awesome. And Natticook Day Camp is ready to open on June 21st, and Matt and James are busy preparing the whole park for that. And he tells me that registration's ongoing, and some sessions have been filled already. So that's a good thing. This year, the challenge is still finding staff, particularly lifeguards and swim instructors. So if you know of anybody. We did hold a community cleanup day, April 10th, with over 100 people that volunteered to help out over town. The tennis court is scheduled to be resurfaced mid-June once the high school tennis team season ends. We have an upcoming event this Saturday, which you might know about, the 2.75 K race that Paul mentioned earlier. I will be going to that, and as I say, this is the first time I've really been out, the first time in town hall, but I'm doing daycare for a 5-year-old, so we can't let her get those things. But I'm totally vaccinated, thank you. And Matt and James have scheduled all the summer movies at Wasserman Park, as well as the concerts at Abbey Griffiths Park will be coming up. As far as our representatives on the committee, they're all been showing up. Maureen Hall reports that the senior center is indeed still closed, but the seniors are hopeful to get back in the building this spring and see all the renovations that have been done. We have a wonderful young lady, Abby Cody, who is now a senior at Merrimack High. She's been on our committee for 5 or 6 years anyway, maybe since 8th grade, 4 years, okay. But she's amazing, and she reports that with all the changes in the school openings, it's now open for 5 days a week for those that choose. I thought that was pretty cool. Rick Greenier, who is our MYA representative, as well as a teacher at JMUS, reports that registrations are now open for softball, baseball, spring soccer, and you can go to the merrimackyouthassociation.com. But we also have to give a great thank you to Gettinge and Elbit for the use of their fields. Those are the things we're always looking for. Shannon Barnes was our school board rep for a while. I think those are all going to change, but there's a wonderful program called Adopt a Senior program where they make the seniors feel more important. Families will give them gifts and goodies and cards, and gift cards and all that kind of thing. So. And apparently there's not 3 positions open right now, but we will be welcoming new organization members on our committee also as things shift from here to there. So it's great to be here. I'm glad to see everybody. It's been a weird couple of years, so thank you for supporting us in all we're trying to do, and we look forward to things getting back to a little more normal. I'm not sure it ever will, but thank you.
I'm glad your first rendezvous was with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Laura.
So thank you. Any questions? Because if there are, Matt will probably answer them. But I am going to stay because he really is amazing.
We agree.
I had sent him this to look at and cut out most of it, which was fine because he's going to say it anyway. But he is amazing. So
Perfect.
Thank you. Nice
Great.
to see you all, and congratulations on all the new changes.
Thanks,
Keep up
Laura.
the good work.
Tell Stephen we said hello.
He's fine. Thank you.
Thanks, Dal. All righty. Next on the agenda is legislative updates from our state representatives. And I see no one here, but I do have one from Representative Maureen Mooney. Greetings, town councilors. The following bills were passed through the full House and have recently had Senate hearings. They're awaiting the Senate committee's recommendations on a few of them, and here they are. It's House Bill 236, which is an act creating a statute of limitations on civil actions relative to damage caused by PFOA and PFAS substances. HB 271, which is an act relative to standards for the per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, I'm sorry, I never say it out loud, PFAS, in drinking water and ambient groundwater. Thank you, Barbara. And the third one is HB 135, an act requiring parties responsible for pollution of drinking water supply to be financially responsible for certain consequences of that pollution. The second thing is the time for state reps to file bills for next year is September 13th, 2021 through September 17th at 4 o'clock in the evening. That'll be over. Thank you for all you do. Respectfully submitted, Maureen Mooney. So if you have any suggestions for legislation, that's the time frame we have to have it in by, so we all know that. Is there no other representatives? Move on. Town manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I get into the town manager's report, I was remiss. I forgot to mention a couple people, as I knew I probably would forget.
Never mention names.
They never met. Yeah, that's it. As I sat back down, I just want to say my oldest brother, who is watching in New Jersey as well. So I'm calling him out now. So when I see him, the price will go down on everything else. And of course, I forgot Kyle, Matt, and Tom as well, department heads that are here. And I do look forward to working with them as well as everybody else. So thank you for letting me ad-lib a little bit. But
No, perfect. Thank you, Paul.
the media division will be covering 4 school concerts beginning next week. You can watch Merrimack High School's spring concert this Tuesday, May 18th at 7 p.m. The middle school on June 1st, J Muse on June 2nd and 3rd. Watch live on Comcast Channel 21, streaming devices, and merrimacktv.com. The LED lighting upgrade at the police department is substantially complete as of today. The project will save more than 25,000 kilowatts each year. Projected annual savings is more than $4,000 in savings. We couldn't have done this without New Hampshire Saves program through Eversource, resulting in a $15,800 investment by the town and a $13,400 investment by Eversource. The upgrade is projected to pay itself in energy and maintenance savings in less than 4 years. This year's street sweeping program is underway. Every year, Public Works Department sweeps over 180 miles of paved roads to remove buildup in sand and debris from the public roads and the school and town parking lots. The program provides safety and environmental benefits for the town and is a required program in our MS4 permit through the EPA. This year's program began on April 12th, and at this time, we are almost 65% complete sweeping operations. Now remember, it started on April 12th. We got snow right after we started this project.
Mm-hmm.
So the DPW did not throw down a lot of sand and salt during that snowstorm because we already started sweeping the streets, and we didn't want to have to go back and re-sweep, but we did. So you can follow the progress or track when your neighborhoods may be swept by checking on the town's website, www.merrimacknh.gov/highway-maintenance. Or you can call the Highway Department at 423-8551. And lastly, the much-anticipated Turkey Hill Road intersection and Boozer's Lake Road roundabout construction will be beginning very shortly. Following the competitive bidding process, the town has selected F.L. Merrill of Loudon, New Hampshire to perform the work. The pre-construction meeting for the project is scheduled for next week, and we anticipate construction starting in June. Details and updates on the project can be found on the Public Works page on the town's website and on our Public Works Facebook page at facebook.com/MerrimackDPW. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Barbara?
Paul, are there plans to announce traffic changes or, road closures and things like that?
Well, that's all part of the pre-construction meeting.
Okay.
So we're going to get together with police, fire, DPW, and the FL Merrill to come up with a plan, and once that plan is worked on, they will be letting everybody know, DPW will be. And I believe you'll be in contact with the local residents in that area as well. So we will be in contact with them individually as well.
Nancy Harrington.
I know, we should have a nickname or
Nancy H.
something. Nancy squared, exactly. Okay, during the Parks and Rec report, it might have been said before, and maybe I missed it, but the beach renovations have been delayed, is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct. The beach renovations have been delayed. We opened up bids. As anybody is aware, you heard from Sarita about how much the bids for our construction down at the plant have gone. The bids came in considerably higher than what we were budgeting. We are looking, actually Don Talamala is looking at the bids and seeing where might be adjustments for the next round of bidding. Due to the opening of camp, starting in a couple of weeks, maybe a month from now, we thought best not to have big trucks in the park while that's going on. So we have delayed it till after the camp season is over, so it will be sometime this fall to get it in. Dredging Natticook Lake was not a problem. Recreating the beachfront was not a problem. The Perch Beach, for those that don't know, it's basically a beach within a beach. We had to do a beach, a retaining wall, and then another beach.
It's like
The retaining wall costs were astronomical. So we're looking at that, other ways maybe to come up with some cost savings. That retaining wall alone was what we had budgeted for the project, which was like $90,000. Wow. Yeah. So we're looking
much?
at about
90.
$90,000 we had budgeted for the project. So that retaining wall was 75. So it was almost as much as what we had budgeted for the whole project. So we're looking at other ways to accomplish what the state and the permits require us to do for the water going in, because we are taking down a couple of big pine trees.
Right.
And that was part of when we took out the pine trees with the roots, we had to have a way for the water not to just run right off that hill
Right.
into the water. So that's why we had that perch beach kind of, but it's a step-down beach. I like calling it the step-down beach. So, but we're looking at other avenues. But long answer to your question is that, yes, the project has been delayed till the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Is there anything further? Send on, all right, no consent agenda, so we'll move down to item number 2 under old business. Council's to discuss the latest COVID-19 guidance as it pertains to large-scale community events and whether to proceed with the July 4th festivities in 2021. And here tonight is Matthew Kasparius.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to give my lead-ins like I normally do, or like I like to do. Matt has been working very diligently, scouring every day the updated events, what can be done, what can't be done through the governor's office. I believe there was some updates that came out since the memo that was put in the packet. We all know the 4th of July, people have been in their house now for over a year, 13, 14 months, and everybody's itching to get back out there. They're getting vaccinated. The CDC has come out with new rules just today about vaccinated people and mask wearing. I do want to make it a point to say that that doesn't pertain to individual businesses. The town of Merrimack at this time, when you enter the building, still will require a face mask at this time to enter our buildings. That's a discussion we can have as a council, but as this time, we're still recommending people wear face masks inside our buildings at this time. Matt has a bunch of stuff because he has day camp regulations, which change almost hourly. Large events, which are changing minutely. The Governor Sununu has stated that he wants to open up the state by July 4th, but there hasn't really been a lot of guidance unless there's some that came up this week, which he's shaking his head no. So it's fluid, and I just want to say that it's a fluid. We're learning, and as we go, we're learning, and we'll be bringing back a lot of information. It might be brought back in the manager's report or announcements about where we stand with some of these requirements. With that being said, I'll turn it over to Matt to give you a synopsis of what can and can't be done as of right now for large-scale events.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Excuse me, Matt and Finley. I wish to be excused from the meeting at this time.
Absolutely, Lon. Thank you for being here.
All righty.
Take care. So do you want to note the time? It's on, by the way. Oh, you. All right. Thanks, Matt.
That's okay. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for bringing this topic up tonight. It's we're 7 weeks away from 4th of July, which is a little crazy. We're 5 weeks away from camp, and that's even crazier. So, in the packets that I had submitted to Becky last week was the universal guidance document that was released by the governor on April 29th. We were originally told that there was going to be another update coming this week, and there wasn't anything. So what we have here is the document that is all they've, is what there is. This document replaces all previous guidance, and they've in fact have even taken down all the previous draft guidance. So for example, even for summer camps that was just approved in March, that's gone off the website. They've we're still following it for camp anyway, but and so the goal here tonight is to kind of review where things are. But I have a couple of specific questions that I need, some decisions need to be made because we are 7 weeks away. Now, last summer, the governor had put in an executive order in place, came out in August, that had required masks for events over 100 people. That order has now expired. It expired on May 8th, last week. And realistically, it was one of the big concerns we had when we were talking about the holiday parade in December last fall, because how do you enforce a mask mandate when you've got a line of people going all the way down Daniel Webster and Babusick? It's like you need 100 volunteers or more to, But again, that mandate has now gone. I have, in recent days, and again today, I've spoken both with Aaron Olson at the Health Department, as well as both the chiefs. We are kind of all, all in agreement that at this point there is nothing in this document that would preclude us from holding 4th of July, both the parade, and the fireworks display. I have gone out and polled kind of the marching bands that we typically bring in each year, because we do pay for their services to come and perform, and to get a sense of where we were, and, with the understanding was that, obviously they knew I was coming to you tonight to get kind of a final decision one way or another so they can plan appropriately as well. Of the 12 or 13 bands we typically have, about little more than half, probably about 7 have said they are going to be able to perform if we have the parade. I had a call today from another band that we've never had before. The parade they usually play in was canceled, and so they were reaching out to us to come join us. So we've picked up a couple already that we wouldn't necessarily normally have. But I am here again tonight because we do need to make that decision so that I can confirm with them, and then begin to put all the other logistical details that go into putting on the parade and making the parade itself happen. And so again, I guess I want to pose kind of that first question is parade and the fireworks, is what is the council's pleasure? Are we comfortable with moving forward at this point? And I don't want to go all the way through because what you say dictates the rest of what I say.
For me, I'm ready to start. I think people, after a year, understand personal responsibility and how it comes into play. If you're vulnerable, or if you live with people who might be unvaccinated folks, whatever, they have to know their limitations. And so for me, I'm willing to proceed. I don't know about my fellow counselors, but I'm willing to allow you to proceed with the plans. Yeah, if anybody would like comments, yes.
Go ahead, you can go first.
Based on the guidance from the CDC, as well as what I've been hearing Dr. Ben Chang, who's the state epidemiologist, saying, again, if you've been fully vaccinated, that's fine. As of today, the CDC is saying if you are fully vaccinated, you begin to lose the mask. There are going to be people who are not comfortable with that.
Mhm.
But if they want to continue to wear their masks in public, especially outside, that is their choice, and that's the beauty of a live free or die state. So I am in favor of doing the parade and the fireworks and letting people do what they feel is necessary for their own family and their own health.
Okay, just to clarify, we're sitting here, most of us are sitting here, not everyone, without masks. We walked in with a mask. It's still the policy, but as soon as we sit down, we're 6 feet apart and we're comfortable. So that goes along with what you're saying, is that there may, if I was uncomfortable with it, I would be wearing the mask. I am comfortable. And I do think we are at the stage of individual responsibility and knowledge. So now the breakfast, and this is what the public has to understand, the breakfast and the midway are put on by the Rotary, and they are not doing that.
Correct.
Now the town's involved with the parade and the fireworks, and that's why these two things are being discussed. Okay. I'm in favor of going forward. There may be arguments where people from other towns are going to come in, right, but to me, that doesn't offset what the citizens in this town need and can get at this point. So I'm in favor of it.
Thanks, Nancy. Nancy?
Yeah, can I just want to ask a question? Does that mean that there will not be a midway? Okay, all right.
I'll
So
get to
it's-
that in a minute.
Okay, so it's just the parade and the
That's right.
fireworks?
And that was important to help.
Yes, thank you.
Andy?
I think I agree with what you said, Finley. It's been a long year. With the announcement of the CDC today on the if you're fully vaccinated, you no longer need the mask. I think most of the citizens would be ready to move forward, so I would be in favor of it as well.
Yeah. I think that announcement was for indoor events also, so that was even more specific where it might be a somewhat confined area, but thank you. So I guess those are marching orders without a vote necessary,
Yeah.
just consensus is all there.
I wanted to just make sure that, two other questions, as Nancy said, that yes, the Rotary Club of Merrimack had already announced, and they announced a couple of months ago, that they weren't doing the breakfast, and they weren't doing the midway. Just a lot of theirs is, they spend months trying to get sponsorships and things like that to help put those events on, and it was just too many unknowns, too many, question marks for them. It just, weren't comfortable with that. So that was why they made that decision. Now, one of my second questions for the council tonight is, typically there is kind of a series of concerts leading up to the fireworks over here, kind of outside the high school, or at the J Muse field in particular. Since they're not doing anything, and we have not spent all our money that we would normally spend on the parade, is there appetite to do a July 4th concert over at J Muse or the high school, kind of immediately before the fireworks? Just so that there's something, or do we want to limit it to just strictly fireworks and leave it at that?
Are you talking inside?
Outside.
Outside, okay.
Now, wasn't there a discussion about needing money for something else, though?
There will be.
Okay, because that's why I'm hesitating.
Yeah.
Because I know that there's going to be requests that you're coming up with. So I'm not sure whether I want to say yes about that until I know about the other.
Well, let me put a clarification there. Hold on 1 second, I can answer that, Paul. I can do the concert within the existing 4th of July, what I normally have for the parade, just because we know that already that some bands are not participating, so I have a savings there. So that doesn't affect, I could do a concert just before the fireworks, and it wouldn't affect availability of funds for the other requests that are coming later.
Paul?
So I'm putting on my finance hat, and it hasn't been taken off that long ago. You're talking about 2 different fiscal years. The request coming before you tonight is with the current fiscal year, 2021. The 4th of July is for 21-22.
That's correct.
Our
Okay.
fiscal year begins July 1st. So we're talking 2 different pots of money. So what Matt's talking about, the parade, fireworks, this concert
It's for next
is
year.
would be on next year's money. What we're talking about when we come forward with the 275th, the next item, is
Okay.
for this current fiscal year's
That
money.
we've not used.
That we have
Yeah.
not used because we canceled all of that
Excellent.
last year.
Okay, that's clarifies. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further there? So-
Okay, so again, I just didn't know
Yep.
if that's something I should be planning for.
You're looking at me, wait.
Well, no, you look like you wanted to speak.
It's
Again,
6 of
for
one,
me-
half dozen of another.
Right, for me, I'm in the same position that I was when I spoke at the
Mhm.
previous
Yeah.
about the fireworks and the parade.
I agree with you.
So that's as well.
Okay.
Oh, Barbara, I thought you were agreeing, I'm sorry.
Well, I was too. I think it's the best of both worlds because people can socially distance for the event, you know, and at the same time wear their masks if they feel like they need to. So I think that'd be perfect, personally.
Okay.
And I think people, when it comes to the mask, I really think people are so accustomed to it now that if somebody chooses to wear it, there's no heartburn by people that don't choose to wear it. So I think it's kind of become part of our psyche almost, which bums me out to say, but I think that's where we are right now, which is fine, that's good.
Right.
So,
And I will just say that, you know, last year we did do our regular summer concert series, and people were good about
Right.
maintaining that social distancing, and that was last summer, you know, so, and now that some of these restrictions are starting to lift. And so then just the last thing I was gonna mention, you know, it kind of falls in the same topic, but I have talked to the Merrimack Concert Association. They are pretty much on board to do their July 3rd concert, which was also canceled last year. They haven't practiced in a while, so they have to make sure that they can practice and get good again before they feel comfortable to do a public performance, but they are tentatively on board as well for that event. We would most likely not have any food or anything along those lines at either aspect of things, just so we don't have to deal with that issue. Yeah, and as you said, Finley, you know, I think in our messaging going forward, it's gonna be, you know, encourage the social distancing in all our messaging, you know, personal responsibility, you know, encourage masks when, you know, social distancing can't be maintained. And again, puts the burden on them to make that decision for themselves.
yep.
And so I think that's all I have on 4th of July. It sounds like I have my marching
Is
orders.
that, Nancy? you-
Okay with you
also?
guys.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Matthew. And now, of
It's
course,
nice to be reopening the
it
town.
truly is. I'm happy about that. So, next on the agenda while you're sitting there, Matt, is the council will receive an update on the Merrimack's 275th anniversary celebrations and a discussion of upcoming plans with a request for additional funding.
So the committee's been hard at work, planning for the 275th anniversary. We're in May now, so this will be our 2nd month, and the committee wants to plan to do something every month. So what's going on, Matt will fill you in some of the highlights that is going on, but we have a lot of activities going down. We have, if you haven't been to Town Hall recently, you can come and check out the school. We have all the old schools from town, way back when. They're in both buildings, the what we call the east wing, which is where the tax collector is, the west wing where the meeting room is, and we have a little stories about each one. That will be coming down shortly, but don't worry, if you missed it here, you can catch it at the library. So it's going over to the library, and we're gonna be bringing up another story. So every month or every other month, we're bringing back Merrimack history and bringing it up and bringing it forward. I believe next go-around or the next pictures that will be presented are bridges and dams. So that should be very interesting. And side note, Kyle Fox sent Anita Kreger something about one of the bridges that we're looking to replace, a little poster board that we have to do for the state. And Anita said, Kyle, if I quote her right, I didn't know that. I learned something. And I was shocked.
She knows everything.
She knows everything about Merrimack history, and when she said that, I was shocked. I was like, kudos, Kyle, you caught Anita. But, yeah.
That's a first.
Yeah, that's a first. But without further ado, I'll let Matt go into what the committee's been hard at work. We meet out like every 2 to 3 weeks via Zoom calls, and it's very proactive, and it's very, we're getting, even though it doesn't seem like a lot's being done, a lot's being done, because we have a lot of different backgrounds on that committee, and a lot of people pulling together to get stuff done, so.
Okay, thank you. As Paul said, we've been working since November on this. When we kicked things off in April, we had 11 different activities going on kind of all month long, including our kickoff event, which we presented the Boston Post Cane Award, which had 55 people socially distanced, spaced out here at Abbey Griffin Park. And moving forward, the plan is to have kind of 3 to 6 different activities going on every different month, and we're getting things from the Heritage Committee, the Historical Society, Parks and Rec, the library, the chamber. Rotary is going to be doing some stuff later, and so it's kind of everybody pulling together. It's actually taken a fair amount of time of my time, but that's okay because it's all been good and productive. And as Paul said, the Historical Society, we had done the series of curated photos. This first month was the Historic Schools of Merrimack. The next one coming up for May, it's been sitting in my office for a week, but I've been swamped this week. So coming, hopefully Monday, we'll be putting up the new series of photos, which is actually Chief Passaconaway and kind of Merrimack's earliest history. And as Paul said, the school photos will be displayed on the library for the next month. And then I think it's Bridges and Dams for June. And then we go from there. But they're 2 by 3 foot photos. And each one has captions and stuff, so you can kind of learn a little bit about some of that historical aspects of the town.
Matt, and these are not just one-time things. These are going to be donated back to the town for us to use over and over and over again. So if we want to put them up every year, we could do things of that sort.
Yep.
So we're not just throwing money on a one-time deal. We made sure that these photos and these poster boards can be reused so that they can go and potentially go into the schools and things of that sort as well, so.
One of the second things we've been working on is we had gotten permission from the state to offer 275th anniversary commemorative license plates, similar to what they did for the 250th anniversary. We had a little bit of a delay getting them initially printed. The state print shop was backed up and short-staffed and on quarantine and whatnot. But those plates went on sale in April. As of this past week, we had already sold 83 plates as of Monday of the 200 that we initially purchased, and so we're slowly recouping that money, as we go through the season. But license plates are $20, and they're available for sale here at Town Hall in the Finance Office, at the Parks and Recreation Office, and thanks to Kyle and his team, they're also now available for sale at the transfer station. So people can pick them up at any of those locations. They will serve as your legal front license plate on your car for all of 2021, and when you purchase the plate, you'll get a copy of the letter that the town received that shows that these are legal. The DMV, sent out a notice to kind of all law enforcement telling them, but we give them the letter just as a backup, just in case, like I said, they've been selling really well, and we will, in fairly short order, we will recoup what we've spent on to create them, and then everything else will go back into future projects and back to the town. as you may have seen, one of the other things we had done was a 275th anniversary banner that was created that have been placed along Daniel Webster Highway from essentially Rite Aid all the way down to MYA, and then from the center of town here up to the Legion. It's every other telephone pole, and then as we get to Memorial Day, DPW will be interlacing the banner, alternating the banners with the American flags that they typically put up. So it just makes a nice kind of visual representation, but those will be up for kind of the year. Just, again, nice display to just to kind of remind people of the history. Getting back to, my initial discussion here, when I was before you back in December, we were granted an initial budget of $5,000 to do some of these things. The license plate, initially, creating the license plates to sale, the banners, these photo displays, and you were open to us at that time coming back when we had kind of more concrete plans in place with kind of what we're thinking going down the road. And so we're a couple of, now that we're kind of 6 months into the process, we have spent the initial $5,000 on kind of those 3 projects. And so we are back here tonight looking for some additional funding, which will kind of guide us, depending on what's available to us, will guide us with exactly what we can do. But some of the things that we're looking at offering later this summer and going into the fall. One of the things we had initially talked to you about back in December was this idea of kind of an end of summer concert, old home days festival, back to school festival, something along those lines. And while things are loosening up, we have hesitation on our ends to try and put something together for August. It feels a little tight to do a enclosed space with events and kids' activities and, those kinds of things. And so our thought process at this point is looking more to a fall festival. And kind of going bigger scale. Actually, I got to back up 1 second. One of the other things that we've been working on, and actually Barbara's been working on, was creating a anniversary cookbook. And we had solicited a number of recipes from residents all over town. I think it was 54 recipes was the final that were submitted. Some were in there. I can't remember. But the idea is to, purchase these recipe books that we would then sell, which would be, themed with for the 275th anniversary. There was a cost to printing these books up. We're estimating probably about $850 based on, we're kind of waiting for the final number from the printer. But again, it'd be something else like with the license plates that we could sell to the community. We've talked about purchasing 100 books to sell and kind of see how it goes and how quickly they sell, because we don't want to just buy hundreds and be stuck with them and that kind of thing. But even if a lot of the people that submitted recipes had said, I'd be interested in buying one once it's done. So, I mean, there's more than half of them could go right there, But beyond that, looking at kind of the fall, we've talked about moving kind of a end of summer event to a fall festival event, which we've kind of tentatively circled for the first weekend of October, which would be the 3rd, 4th. And some of the things that we've talked about is a militia reenactment as one event, and that could potentially be later in the summer, not necessarily the fall. I've actually had a lot of people reach out to me through our Facebook page asking if we're going to do a specific 275th parade. And so if we were going to do a parade and then have marching bands and things like that, there is a cost to obviously putting on a parade. Some children's activities on that kind of fall festival weekend. And then the other question, is the potential for maybe doing fireworks, because that was something else that we talked about back in December. Lastly, as you know, we have our fundraising committee that's been working to get underway on their covered bridge project for Twin Bridge. And they are kind of getting organized and they're ready to go. But one of the things that they are looking to do is for example, when somebody gives money they'd like to be able to give them, a token thing, a bumper sticker, a patch, something small, just as a kind of a, hey, thank you, you just gave us $100, here's, some little thing. The other thing that they are looking to do is an initial investment in some clothing lines that they're actually going to sell. That'll have kind of they're working with Petrocelli here in town, that they've kind of, each month of the year they would have, maybe in the July it's a polo shirt, and maybe in September it's a stadium blanket or a sweatshirt, or, and so each month they'd kind of have like a monthly store of things that they're going to sell, but they want to have some physical products that they can sell at events, and whether it's standing outside of the post office or the grocery store or those kinds of things. But again, there is an investment needed to do that, and they have asked for $3,000 to kind of get that piece under the way. Again, thinking that they're going to recoup that money, obviously, as they start selling this stuff, and obviously it's going to be more donations for the bridge project in general. Now, all of that told, right now we are looking for upwards of $25,000 to kind of accomplish all of those things. I did mention earlier, obviously, 4th of July didn't happen. As Paul mentioned, 4th of July didn't occur last year, so we didn't spend that money. And again, Rotary isn't running their events that we would normally provide funding for this year as well. We normally give them $10,000 this year as well. I don't know if you want to.
Actually, the fall event, the Old Homes, Rotary's trying to partner with us.
Well,
and that's what they, instead of running the midway, they would like to use that $10,000 and run like an Old Homes fall festival kind of event and use that money that way. So that's just want to let the council know that that's the Rotary's thinking, and they've been in contact with me and Matt, and they want to come forward, and I kind of put them off. I said, okay, we'll get you on in June so you can discuss that, so they have more time as a group to be able to discuss what they might want to do.
I was going to say that next, but that's fine.
But that's using the
Next year's money.
21's budget?
Yes,
Okay. You're talking about
20.
the 20's budget?
Correct.
Was $45,000, I believe, in total for the 4th of July that wasn't spent. You gave us, gave the committee 5, so it's $40,000 left. The committee's looking for 25, so that will give about $15,000 savings towards the 4th of July budget.
We can certainly work with less, but obviously what we have available kind of dictates where we go from here. And so I guess I need that guidance again of, what the council's pleasure is. And with that, I will open it up for questions.
Thanks, Matthew. Anybody have any questions? Well, on these funds, is this is something that in our bookkeeping will be reconciled and back to the town at some point? So it's not like this is out of the budget. I was actually saying that as a question, but it sounded like I just was confirming that for everybody. But thanks. All right.
Yes, your new finance director will give you a report.
And by the way, it's good to see you tonight, Tom. Does anybody have any questions of Matt or thoughts?
You need a motion?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Oh, I agree as well. So I would like to move that $25,000 be designated for future planning for fall activities for the Parks and Rec. Is that appropriate, Paul?
For the 275th?
For the 275th.
For the 275th fall activities.
Fall
program.
activities and other items, because the cookbook isn't going to be a fall activity. It's going to be in the next couple of months.
Okay,
There's going to be activities all along.
Okay, so 25,000 designated for any and all 275th anniversary
Activities.
Second.
That's a great motion.
Motion by
Thank
Nancy
you.
Harrington, Seconded by Barbara.
It takes a while before you feel comfortable making a motion. So no, it took me a good year, so
Actually, the
don't worry
fallback
about
is
it.
always so moved. right?
I plan to be quiet and listen for a little while.
It's true. It takes a while. And the first ones that real,
Nancy, would you like to speak to your motion?
I think it's pretty clear. The reason I feel comfortable was have the money left over. That's the only way, because I would have a hard time reconciling something that was not budgeted for. I do want you to be, and I'm assuming it, but I have to say it, cautious with it. You know, just because 25, we don't need to spend 25,000 if we don't need to.
Absolutely.
So,
Any further discussion? See none, I'd like to call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstained? Had to do some math here. 500. Thanks, Matthew.
we don't need to do roll call anymore.
Yeah, no. So next on the agenda, item number 4 under old business, the transfer station swap shop reopening. Council will discuss the possibility of reopening the swap shop located at the transfer station. And Kyle, were you speaking to it, Paulie's?
I'll speak to it, but I'll bring Kyle up to answer all the questions. As you know, we closed the swap shop down when all the governor's emergency orders came down. As of last Friday, all those orders have been lifted. We have had 1 or 2 calls and a lot of emails basically asking us when are we going to open up the swap shop again. Since this is all part of the COVID and this is all new to us, Kyle has put together a plan to reopen the swap shop. Now, for those that do not know what our swap shop is basically a construction trailer. It's not that big. It has one door, maybe one door in and one door out. There's a 3-foot walkway that walks up, so there isn't room for social distancing as people come and go with their stuff. It is pretty tight quarters. We do not like people leaving stuff outside of the swap shop because of weather and other things, but people do. But at the end of the day, that means that the solid waste staff has to now pick that stuff up and either bring it inside or do something with it if it falls apart when they pick it up. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to limit the number of people that are going to be allowed inside the building at one time, limit the number of stays, because if anybody's been in there for a while, there's a lot of stuff to look at. There's a lot of books. And I haven't been in there for a year and a half because of it's been closed, but so you could spend a lot of time just walking around and looking at things. So we're trying to limit the amount of time that people can stay in there because it is popular. And it is a good way for people to gently used items to be reused instead of throwing them in the trash, having somebody else repurpose them that could use them, use those items. So what we're looking for is that 2 people in there at a time, 10-minute max stay, face coverings, mask in there because it is a small space, and we're not policing whether or not people have been vaccinated or not. We're not asking for their vaccination cards. So those kind of deals, that's why we're requesting people to wear the mask or mandating people to wear masks. Because we're not going to be saying, hey, show me your ID, show me your COVID card to say that you're fully vaccinated kind of deal. And I don't think the state has done the COVID passport. And they won't do it either, I don't think. So, on that. Kyle, did I miss anything? Nope. Okay. So, Kyle's here to answer all your questions. Kyle's in charge for Nancy and for you, Andy. Kyle's, one of his divisions underneath DPW is solid waste. So he's responsible for everything that happens with solid waste and wastewater and highway and building and grounds.
Most of the complaints we have go to him.
Yeah, and equipment maintenance. So he oversees a lot. So
What amazed me is the swap shop has been open since 2013.
I know, isn't it?
That's
amazing?
mind-boggling. So
and remember, we moved it. We
right.
moved it out of the recycling center into this building.
right.
Because of the congestion when we were recycling, people were like, well, people are looking at the stuff at the end of the recycling building, I can't recycle because it takes too long to get through the building. So we gave it a special building
Right.
for this, and for this purpose and this purpose.
So you really want to reopen it? Yeah, I can see.
Thank you,
Part-
Town Manager McCallie, and congratulations. And congratulations, Counselor Hunter. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
So, in the months of COVID, and particularly recently, there's really two calls for reopening things that we get, and we get a lot of them. One is the pedestrian bridge,
Yeah,
and two is the swap shop.
right.
It is a very popular amenity for townsfolks. People really like to offer things that are not good to them anymore, or not needed for them, and to see them have another life. And of course, for us, as the department, and for you guys as town councilors, the reason the swap shop exists is to keep people out of the waste, to keep items out of the waste stream. Do we want to open it? I'm nervous about it. I think I've presented you with some restrictions that we would like to impose if we do, trying to balance the desire to open it for all the benefits versus the anticipated issues that we might come up with it. I think there's a real chance that this will be problematic for us. So talking with Chris Perot, our solid waste foreman, we're trying to take a measured approach to this and kind of see how it goes. And that's why in my requested signage, I did have a provision that we would let people know that failure to follow these guidelines will result in it closing again, which we wouldn't want to do. But I can't tell you there were never any issues before COVID.
Right.
People loitering and some residents getting agitated with each other, you shouldn't take this, it should be for someone else. And we really don't police the swap shop, we just don't have the personnel for it. It's a wonderful amenity, and we'd like to offer it. Here's my suggestion for how we can at least attempt to do so.
Nancy?
I agree. Thanks, Kyle. I agree that it's a wonderful amenity. And as somebody who's been there many times and watched that, I think we're all moving to resuming life as normal. I think it's obviously for all the reasons you said. It offers the town a great way to limit trash and to recycle things. My concern would be, what's the enforcement? Who's going to enforce the two-person in that thing? And I would just feel really concerned for the workers there who may find themselves challenged in challenging positions that I would hate to see them put into at a time when I get we're heading this way, but I'm a little concerned about that might be a little too quick and just might, I don't know, I'd be worried. I mean, just not only the inside, but I've watched people just stay there and actually go to cars and be taking stuff out of people's cars before it's even out. And in an effort to still, socially distance, to resume to normal, I'd be concerned that in an attempt to do a good thing, it may just prolong the need to not do it for longer. So that would be, I think it's a great idea, but it worries me a bit. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment, and I share your concerns. What I would say about the employees is we don't staff the swap shop. If there are issues, we do have cameras around the facility. Our secretary scale operator can see the swap shop quite well. And when there are issues, the foreman will go out and, try and settle the peace. But if it escalates at all, we contact the police department. We're not an enforcement agency. So in the past, that's how issues have been resolved. And generally at that point, it resolves before the police get there. But I do share your concerns.
I'm just wondering if in the event, and I hope it wouldn't happen, but in the event things escalated to the point where law enforcement was called, I mean, what are they enforcing? Are there, I mean, it's 5 people are in it, refuse to leave. We don't have a law, right, that
Well,
says
breaking of the
5
peace, I would think.
5 people in the building, you know what I mean?
Oh, well, in terms of
you know,
that,
so.
But if they're fighting, that's breaking the peace.
Yeah, but I mean,
Or
I would
whatever
hope
you
that it
call
wouldn't
it.
get to that, but just the whole point of,
Yeah, I think in that case, we would simply close the door.
Right.
And-
Also,
Paul has some.
yes, just so you're aware, we tell our staff, solid waste, do not be confrontational. Be respectful, say, hey, this is what it is, and if they don't do it, if they're persistent and still want to be, going, if there's more than 2 people in there, I say, we'll close it down. However, we do call the police, and when a police officer arrives, believe it or not, everything seems to be de-escalated real quick. As Deputy Charlton could attest to, is that it de-escalates a lot, and these people are like, okay, well, we got to leave now. And then if there's 5 people in there, because we say if you can't follow the rules, we'll close it, they make the determination to close it. It's similar to when we were at the beginning of COVID, remember, when we only had 1 lane of the recycle building open, and the lines were long, and they were out to Lawrence Road and things of that sort. And then we would open up the 2nd lane, but we would tell people, make sure you're socially distanced. And most people do stay within that socially distanced in the recycling building now. I think it's gonna have to be learned by a lot of people because of this, but we would have big enough signs so people know 2 people at a time, no more than 10 minutes, but we're not gonna police it. If our gentleman who's driving the forklift sees that there's 6 people in there, he might walk up and say, hey, guys, you're only supposed to have 2 in there, and ask, could you please leave? And if they don't leave, he'll just walk and call the foreman up on the walkie-talkie and say, I got 6 people in the swap shop, and Chris will go over there and talk to these people and see if they would leave. If they start pushing back on Chris, that's when we place a call to the police, and the police come out, and we would close it. And there's nothing that we can do. We're trying to do something good for these people. I'm not advocating for or against it. I'm just trying to give you all the facts. And we understand that there are going to be situations where a father and son, and he wants to bring his daughter, well, that's 3 people, but it only says 2. So can I bring my 2 kids in with me? Those kind of, we trying to work through those kind of situations. Is it a family or 2 so we looked at it and we thought 2 would be at the time because of the space. So there's a lot of other things that we can talk about and discuss further.
so, sorry. So would the expectation be if DPW staff wasn't involved and I'm outside waiting, I'm waiting a half hour to get into this building and the same 2 people get in there, would the expectation be on the public then to go to the DPW people and say, hey, I've been out here for a half hour trying to get in? I mean, I just wanted to, I think we'd have to understand what the expectation is of the public. Where would they go if?
And these are great questions, and there's usually staff around there. We have a gentleman who's around there all the time looking at these tires, the steel recycling, the propanes, things of that sort. He drives around all the time. There's other people, like I said, on the forklifts and loaders and things of that sort. That's a great question, and honestly, I do not have an answer for you, but I would assume that if somebody's waiting a half an hour to get in, they would be either trying to find one of our guys or leaving.
Yeah, and that's what I would suggest is you find one of the workers there or go down to the office trailer and find someone there. Our hope and expectation is that people will appreciate the amenity enough to be courteous and show each other respect. And I guess it's that optimism that brings me here tonight. I think it can be successful, but I'm wary.
Are there cameras inside the trailer?
There are not.
Can there be a camera inside the trailer? Because that would solve the problem, because I always see things like this as quickly as it opens, it can
It'll be
close.
closed.
And so, and if you find, with the camera in there, the scale operator can see what's going on, and if they see more than 2 people, they can very quickly call whoever's closest to the trailer and deal with it. And if it is a problem, I'm willing to shut it down immediately. It's as simple as that for me, but I'm hoping the desire to have it open by the people who utilize it will run their conscience the proper way, but, so Nancy?
First of all, I totally agree with you, Nancy. Your concerns, I parrot that. I have a whole bunch of things to go to the swap shop in my basement, so I am one of those people, but I think it's premature. I think it's unreasonable to expect people to self-regulate at 2 people per and time limit. And I don't think your guys should be disturbed at all. At all.
Thank you.
So I feel the value. I was one of the people who voted for it. I just think it's too early right now, and maybe as the summer goes on, maybe we can ease into it and be able to introduce it with some assistance, maybe not from DPW, but maybe volunteers or something, so we can ease into it. And remember, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I know I do a lot of donating to the local yard sales, like the Boy Scouts. They used to. They didn't have it last year, but hopefully they'll have it this year. So I donate my things to them too.
Right.
So I think that there are options available, if I wasn't so lazy, to be able to get that stuff out. But I think it's premature. I think we're not there yet. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I would have to agree. If you've never been in that trailer, it's pretty close in there. And when you add the counters that people use to put their things on, it's even tighter. So I think I'm not so sure we can just open it and expect that people are going to be really cognizant of dropping their stuff, putting it out, and leaving. Because we've kind of had that problem before, where some folks have a residential address there, maybe. But anyways, also, we didn't hire these guys to police, the swap shop. So I don't think, we should put that on them if we don't have to.
Thank you.
I think we got our marching orders.
Very good.
Kyle, we'll just keep it closed until we'll
You know,
continue to monitor it and
It's
keep
easier
it
to
closed.
open it up than to open it up and then have to close it.
Right.
Sure.
We'll keep
That would
monitoring
be
the situation.
horrendous.
Yep, and as conditions with the pandemic improve, I'll come back and sometime
Yeah.
soon, hopefully. Oh, I'm fine, yeah, absolutely.
Don't want to hurt your feelings.
No,
No, I think it,
I'm a tough guy. I can-
I think what it does now is that we can answer these emails and we can answer these phone calls and say, yes,
Right, your town council.
and then not to drop it on you, but we brought it up, and at this time, there's several
Concerns.
outstanding concerns that we'd have to work through. And so at this time, we're keeping it closed. So I don't have a problem with that, and we'll bring it forward later when conditions change.
And maybe we can keep our eyes open to those yard sales if they're gonna have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All righty. Oh, Barbara?
I would, if anybody questions it, and, the town council, just say the 3 nurses were in solidarity.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Kyle.
How many times can we use that?
And then next, under new business, and I feel terrible that Ellen has had to sit around for so long. Oh, perfect, perfect. The council has a few appointments to make this evening. Consider appointing the following individuals for town committees pursuant to Charter Article 4, Section 8. Ellen Cobb for the Conservation Commission as an alternate member. My wife, Lori Rothaus for Parks and Rec Committee, School Board Representative, and Shannon Barnes, Parks and Rec Committee Alternative School Board Member Representative. And
I'd like to make a motion to appoint all three.
a motion by Nancy Harrington,
Second.
seconded by Nancy Murphy. And would you like to speak to your motion?
Obviously, all of them are well qualified to be able to fulfill responsibilities, and we appreciate them. Thank you. And we appreciate, we appreciate their offering to help us. We appreciate their volunteers.
Yes, absolutely. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. And Ellen, if you will join me.
Finley, excuse me,
Yes.
before you do that, could you just read each person and what they were just appointed to for the minute taker?
You just read it.
Oh, I thought I did.
Did you? I'm
Want me
sorry.
to read it again?
Yes, please.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
Ellen Cobb.
That's why I said that.
For the Conservation Commission is alternate member.
Yep.
Lori Rothaus, Parks and Rec Committee, School Board Representative, and Shannon Barnes, Parks and Rec Committee, alternate School Board Representative.
And you did read it. I just wanted it reiterated that that's what the vote was for.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. Here, Ellen, we'll come right over here. No.
There we go.
Thank you so much, and sorry to keep you waiting so long.
No trouble.
If you raise your hand and repeat after me. I have to make sure I have the right one, sorry about that. I, and state your name,
I, Ellen Cole,
do solemnly and swear and sincerely swear
do solemnly swear and sincerely swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially,
discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me.
that I will,
Fa-
remember this?
Yep. Yeah, there we go.
Where are we going here?
Faithfully.
Faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as alternate member of the Conservation Commission, according to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God.
Much easier. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you so much. And let me give you a couple of things here.
Finley, I was going to say,
Yeah. All right. Item number 2 under new business, the council to consider the acceptance and expenditure of a donation in the amount of $240 from the Lions Club of Merrimack to the Parks and Rec Department to be used towards camp scholarship, towards its camp scholarship fund pursuant to RSA 31:95B and Charter Article 8, Section 15.
So moved.
Motion by Nancy, seconded by Barbara. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I think it's pretty clear with appreciation, we accept that money, and thank you to the Lions Club.
Yes, good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. It's 500. Item number 3 under new business, the council to consider the acceptance and expenditure of a donation in the amount of $16.12 from Scout Joy Morris to the Parks and Recreation Department to be used towards Wasserman Park pursuant to RSA 31:95B and Charter Article 8, Section 15.
Anybody want to do so moved over there?
Motion by Barbara, seconded by Nancy Harrington. Would you like to speak to your motion? It does, but I will,
Joy.
right, Joy Morris, this is residual contributions to her
Outlooks.
her
Selfie stands.
yeah, selfie stands, and
Oh, yes,
it's
I
that was the
That's
balance
right, yep.
remaining of her money, so she gives it to the Parks and Rec, which is very kind. So, without any further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed and abstained, 500. Okay, item number 4 under new business, council to consider the acceptance and expenditure of a grant in the amount of $3,600 awarded by Homeland Security to the Merrimack Police Department for the purpose of conducting counterterrorism and active shooter training for the Special Response Team pursuant to RSA 3195B and Charter Article 8, Section 15. How are you doing? Good evening, and thanks
you
for being with us all this evening.
Glad to have this mask off.
Yes,
Breathe finally.
it is tough.
So first of all, I want to congratulate you, Paul, on your appointment. I've known you for quite some time, and you definitely deserve this, so congratulations. And Councilman Hunter, congratulations. I speak for the chief and the deputy chief that when saying that we're, looking forward to working with you. So congratulations. So members of the town council, so I just want to thank you for the opportunity to present this award for your consideration. Each year, Homeland Security allots funds to each tactical team in New Hampshire based on their team size, their needs, and their capabilities. This will be the third training grant awarded to us from Homeland Security. So this year, the Merrimack SRT, or Special Response Team, was awarded $3,600 from Homeland Security with the stipulation that the funds would be used towards counterterrorism and/or active shooter training. The team has chosen to conduct our training that will improve our tactics in response to counterterrorism incidents, or terrorism incidents rather, or active shooter incidents that specifically flee into a wooded area. Now, I don't have to tell you this, but due to the topography of New Hampshire, and more specifically Merrimack, I think 60% of Merrimack is wooded, the last I checked, or woodland rather. So the likelihood that an active shooter incident or a terrorist incident were to flee in the woods is high. And there's been incidents documented not just in the state, but across the country where this has actually happened. Just for your info, 1997, Carl Draga killed 2 New Hampshire state troopers, a judge and a journalist, before fleeing into a heavily wooded area in New Hampshire. Actually, I believe it was from New Hampshire, but led into Vermont before being ultimately killed by police. In New York State, 2018, just 3 years ago, 4 police officers were shot, 1 was killed. It was a 2-day manhunt before he fled into a wooded area. So we feel like this is great importance for us. We have conducted active shooter, counter-terrorist type training before, but most of it's contained in a building or in an area. So we have plenty of training in that area, in that field, but we feel like this will help us in a specific situation. The training is going to be conducted by Ed Anzalone of Long Range Ranch LLC in Lineborough, New Hampshire. Mr. Anzalone is a former U.S. Marine who spent time working with special forces and counter-terrorist organizations. He conducted numerous operations all over the world combating terrorist threats. Also, he's been training military and police across the country, but most specifically, Nashua PD has used him for multiple trainings and vouches for his expertise and his ability to train us in this field. So with that said, I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions? No? That was too easy. Anybody like to make a motion?
First of all, I do remember, didn't you do it at the school once? Was it last year or the year before?
That was a MacTech grant that I presented.
Right, okay, it was similar, which is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Right. So I would be happy to award the grant funding by Homeland Security to conduct counterterrorism training. I'm moving to approve, accept, and expend the funds
$3,600?
for $3,600. Thank you.
Thank
Second.
Motion by Nancy Harrington, seconded by Nancy Murphy. And Paul, did you want
Just a friendly amendment
tighten it up?
pursuant
have-
to RSA 3195 8-B and Charter Article 8-15.
That's correct.
And that the town manager or his
Proxy be able to sign whatever necessary paperwork.
And are you good with that, that amendment there, Nancy?
Yes.
Yes, all right. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained, 5-0-0.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Mike.
much.
We
If I could say
appreciate it.
one more thing. Paul, you called me Captain Marcotte earlier, and I'm holding you to it, no takebacks.
Good for you.
I did that for your mom.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations again. Well deserved.
Enjoy the evening.
Good night.
Next item, number 5 under new business, the council to consider recommended revision to the town center committee charge membership makeup, adding a representative from the Media Services Division. I sit on the town center committee, and Nick has been very active and instrumental in helping us, so it was thought that we'd like to have him on as a voting member. And so it's a simple change, and there's no public hearing required on that?
No public hearing required, and it's because Nick brings the media presence to the town center committee. So Nick brings the blogging,
The Facebook.
the presence to get out to the younger generations and get into the social media aspect for this committee. And he's here. His
Yep.
department's here. They tape all the meetings and things of that sort, so they know what's going on. So it isn't like you're bringing somebody in and dropping them from 50,000 feet.
Right.
They're here. So all we're doing is asking, similar, for those that were on the council a couple years ago when we asked to have the DPW DPW representative to that committee. We added that. It's similar to this. We're asking to add the media coordinator, media division as a representative as part of this.
Right, and the reason no name is because if Nick can't make it, he wants to have somebody else. It opens up, makes it a little easier, but it's the same with Public Works and so on.
Correct.
So if anybody has any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to add a representative of the Media Services Division to the membership of the Town Center Committee.
Second.
Motion by Nancy Harrington, seconded by Barbara.
Is that sufficient, Paul?
She's our new Bill Boyd, I knew it.
I know, well, just know, these guys are gonna be picking it up. I'm just trying to be fast.
No, I appreciate it, Nancy, you know I worship that. So if there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed, abstain, 5-0-0. Next on the agenda is approval of April 22nd minutes.
I'll let you start. Let you start.
I don't know if,
Make a motion, then you do that. Make a motion to approve the minutes with revision.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 22nd,
I need hand-holding myself.
2021,
Very good.
With the following revisions.
with, what?
With
With revisions.
revisions.
Thank you, thank you.
I would second that.
We're going to need a script.
We're gonna get by, just fine. Barbara is our editorialist, just to let you know. Although Nancy, maybe you're gonna be
Yep.
becoming one too.
And anybody who wants to jump on board can do it as well.
Okay, so the only change I had was on page 7, and I am sorry, but I had copied it at home, and of course, it doesn't have the numbers on it.
Oh,
So-
Oh,
yeah.
it doesn't, yeah.
But it's in this third paragraph where it says Councilor Healy, go down 3 lines, and it's from the BRIC, big, long space, program. So just tighten up the line and you're good.
Sorry about having no numbers. We have a new minute taker. In the future, we'll make sure she puts
Okay.
numbers in there.
Makes
So,
it much easier.
Does-
much easier for everybody.
Makes it easier for me to reference
Yeah.
it to you, but you see where I'm looking at.
I understand, so I just wanted to point that out, too.
She did a good job, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if that's the only mistake, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
I read them very quickly, but
Nancy? Murphy?
Yes, just in addition, on page 11, the second to last paragraph on the bottom, Councilor Harrington, in her very kind willingness to switch places with me on the HB 737 statutory commission, Councilor Harrington added, she believes that Councilor Murphy should be the town council representative in her place, as she's presently the community representative, has been on the committee since the beginning, and actually wrote the bill that created the commission.
I did add.
You
I
had
did
that,
say
right, I
that.
remember that, yeah, that's why the only thing that was missing.
You're absolutely right. So after beginning, insert and
create,
have, and
wrote the bill, wrote the legislation that created
wrote the
the commission.
legislation that created. You get that, Paul? You're right, Nancy.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank God for tape, right? Or, guess it's not tape anymore.
Yeah.
So, you all set, Paul? Excellent. Are there any further changes? Seeing none, I'll call the question on the minutes. All those in favor of approving the April 22nd minutes, 2021, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 4-0-1 with Andy abstaining. All right, comments from the press, seeing none. Comments from the public. Comments from the council. Nancy?
I
Yes.
feel like they're talking to differently.
Nancy on the right or Nancy on the left? Actually, thank you, I have two. One was, it was a question just around how the New Hampshire DES PFAS meeting is going to be noticed. Are we going to put up the electronic signs? And I just think that there should be plenty of public notice since it's not going to be in person.
Yeah.
We will put the sign at the Watson Park. We have several electronic signboards. Police have a signboard.
Transfer
DPW,
station.
transfer station has a signboard.
Public Works.
Public Works Garage has a signboard. The library has a signboard. We will also look at putting our signboard up at the north end of town at the fire station up there, if it's working. I know we've had some problems with it, but if we can get them all, we'll have them all. So answer your question, yes, we'll have the signboards out. Starting,
Cable, we should have.
cable, Channel 20 will start running it. It's on our website as well, but we'll try to get the word out as best as possible. I'll ask all departments who have social media accounts to put it on their social media account as well. And those who tweet will tweet it out.
Nixle?
And Nixle as well.
Nixle, yes, Nixle as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Reed's Ferry Station sign is a good location because I was stuck in traffic there this evening, so it's a wonderful place. Goes smoothly, though, I have to say. Did you have something, Barbara?
Yeah, what do we have for the southwestern part of the town? Because as you get down along the lower end of Continental, there's not a whole lot down there.
There is not a whole lot down there, and it is very difficult to put something down there because the town owns from Industrial Drive to Burger King.
And then the state takes
And
over?
the state takes over from Industrial Drive basically to 101. So to get a sign out there, it's very difficult. There isn't a lot of room on the side of the road to put a sign. We have tried in the past for elections to get signs down there, and it just didn't
Have we
work.
ever asked Fidelity if we could just put a sign on their property?
We have not asked Fidelity. I can give Fidelity a call and see, but knowing that we have only 2 message boards, it's where do we want them? Do we want them? I guess we could put one up there at the South Station and try to get one in the southwest part of town, North Station, Reed's Ferry Station, and try to get a board in the south end of town someplace.
So, St. Anthony Newman, remember we did a little bit of a property switch with them for the road construction? Going into their driveway? I think there's a little piece of land there.
That's all DOT
Yeah, I
up
think it
there
is
by
DOT.
St.
Is
John
it
Newman. That's all DOT.
DOT took it over? Okay.
DOT, that was DOT.
Yeah, because I think they did that.
Yeah,
for their
101A,
adjustments,
yeah.
What about that piece of property that Thornton Ferry owns on Continental?
There, yes, but it's, It's a side of the road kind of deal, so it's
Yeah.
just gonna be dropped in, and the topography, I don't know if it will work because of the down and up.
If we could, at some point in the summer, just make a berm there, just something to, you'd only need a short,
Well, we could definitely, that would be.
because that would be a good place, it's a straightaway.
You know what? That's a great discussion at the retreat.
Put
Please
that
no.
on the list,
I'm
please?
gonna put that on the list.
Communication with the community is there.
But I think
No, I think so. Yes,
industrial, not industrial, continental is
Yeah.
the best place.
right. Yes, and if we can get a kind of a flattening of a berm.
Yeah,
then,
you could get a truck down there and just sort of soil.
Yeah, I
you know.
just, we'll have to look into that. I'm not gonna make any promises because of curb cuts and things of that sort. So I don't know if they would consider that needing a curb cut if we kinda put a berm in. I don't, DOT is,
understand, I
DOT
understand.
is very, especially down in that way. They might tell us to take it over.
Even though it's our land?
Yeah, well, they, you know, they, DOT's been wanting to give Continental to us for
Well, that's
5
true.
years.
That's true.
And if we go there and ask them
True.
for something.
They'll say, sure, if you want to take it over.
Yeah, sure, if you want to take it over. But I will check that out, and I will definitely have an answer for you, if not the next meeting, at the retreat.
That little piece of triangle property that the town owns just before Camp Sargent, beside the new construction.
Could try to
You
put
own
one
that.
there. Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah.
And you can access it.
Actually,
from
you know what I'm gonna
Camp
do?
Sargent.
You know what I'm gonna ask? I'm gonna ask Merrimack Village District, who is right there on Continental Boulevard, to put it on their message board.
Bingo. But, yeah.
I'll talk
We
to
could also put a big
Superintendent Minor and ask him if he would put that up as well.
Yeah,
So,
they would, yeah.
I'm sure they would. But they're there in Continental, that will give us some,
Some
and then
exposure.
we could talk about other locations at the retreat.
All right, Nancy.
Thank you, sorry. I have one more thing. This is really, it's a community notification about another PFAS-related issue. Back between March 2016 and October 2017, some residents, actually a total of 217 Merrimack residents, had blood tests drawn by the Department of Health and Human Services for the MVD Community PFAS Exposure Assessment. And those blood samples were retained, the consent that a participant signed allowed DHHS to retain those blood samples until this study was over. Well, that time came, and in discussions at our House Bill 737 PFAS Commission, we wondered that if those samples might actually have potential future value, and maybe testing isn't right there yet, but down the road it will be. So we agreed as a commission to request that DHHS retain those samples for a period of 5 additional years, which DHHS cannot do without having the reconsent of the participants. So on May 4th, letters were sent out to the 217 participants of that study, asking that they sign, yes, you can keep my blood, or no, you cannot, for the period of 5 years. All that consent will do is allow them to, DHHS, to keep it. It doesn't allow for further testing, just so the DHHS does not discard the samples. I would ask that anybody that participated, please respond to that. There's a 30-day time frame that DHHS is requiring a response. I know there are some people actually have reached out to me on social media that they've moved, and I think I posted the phone number to contact, but it's important because we have there's only 217 of these blood tests, and though some other people have had blood tests, they were just tests to examine blood levels, but they were not retained as part of a study. So if you were one of the lucky 217 that got the golden ticket for that blood test a while ago and are willing to have your blood test, or your blood sample retained by DHHS, I would ask that people just respond to that letter, and if you didn't receive it, call DHHS and let them know you have a new address and get that. And when if the time comes that that blood sample will be tested again, you will then be contacted specifically at that time with the seeking permission to actually do whatever blood test it is. So it's really just to allow them to keep it.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Anything further, comments? Take a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Barbara, second by Nancy Murphy. All those in, did you wish to discuss your motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0. Thank you very much, and welcome, Andy. And
9 o'clock.
it must be, whoa.
You know what?